But we don't talk about Trump because we're used to Trump being just a complete lunatic and, an idiot and a buffoon, talking about Revolutionary War airports 5 years ago and Clorox 3 years ago or 4 years ago. I mean, we're just used to that.
Didn't know is the first official day of summer. June 20th, the summer solstice, used to be the longest day of the year, but that's one of the nice things about Trump being president. Now every day is the longest day of the year. Scientists at the
Donald Trump stumbled straight into yet another circus of his own making. But this time, George Conway and Jimmy Kimmel didn't just show up with popcorn, they showed up with flamethrowers. What followed was a takedown so savage it deserved a parental advisory. They ripped apart the myth, the madness, and yes, even the infamous mop, with sarcasm so sharp it cut like glass, and comedy so precise it left no escape. This wasn't just a roast, it was a full-scale comedic demolition, and Trump stood there like a monument collapsing in slow motion. Buckle up, because this spectacle doesn't just reveal the truth, it obliterates it with style, wit, and merciless brilliance.
Trump could not give a about anyone else's life. It's all about what satisfies his narcissistic thirst. You absolutely know he has no idea what he's doing and that his guiding light is his own ego and not the best interest in
Trump, who is the president, left the G7 conference a full day early. The other world leaders assumed he left to work on a ceasefire in the Middle East, but Trump denied that. He said it has nothing to do with the ceasefire, much bigger than that. And today, we know what it was he was working on. He posted this: "It is my great honor to announce that I will be putting up 2 beautiful flagpoles on both sides of the White House. It is a gift from me. These are the most magnificent poles made."
There's something almost cosmic about watching a man pick a fight with reality itself, only to lose every single round. Donald Trump, the one president who treats facts like sworn enemies, is back in the Oval Office because apparently America decided this reality show needed a reboot with even worse writing. And, right on cue, George Conway and Jimmy Kimmel step in as the critics, ready to review the sequel absolutely no one asked for.
I think everybody overthinks this guy. There's no strategy. There is no thought. And the brand is just him. He lives in this world where there's just him. Okay?
But it's not just him, George. It's a hell of a lot of people out there who've gotten sucked up into this thing and that are perpetuating
I agree with
that brand.
I'm talking about in his mind.
Okay.
None of us matter. Those people don't matter. They're not real people. He doesn't care what happens to them. If they show him adulation and they do what his bidding, that's good. If they don't do his bidding, he will destroy them. He will discard them. None of us, in his mind, okay, he's someone, as a man with no empathy, a man with no conscience. It's just him.
Trump's latest presidential term already feels like one of those frozen dinners that look delicious on the box, but turn into a disaster the second you press start. No real leadership, just scattered tweets, half-baked policies, and more press conferences than actual plans. If blind confidence without a shred of competence were legal tender, Trump would have cleared the national debt by now.
I don't want to diagnose him, but I think if you look at the diagnostic criteria for narcissistic personality disorder and antisocial personality disorder, he fits every single one of them. It's like the criteria were made to describe him. And I think what we saw with this tweet yesterday is that last final collapse of Donald Trump's mental state. I mean, you think about it, those were like 50, 60, 70,000 people in the aggregate in five rallies in different states. That's loopier than saying that the moon landings were staged, because there were tens of thousands of people.
George Conway didn't even need a microphone to tear this disaster apart. All he had to do was point at Trump's daily performance, which looks less like presidential leadership and more like your drunk uncle trying to DJ a wedding while also running for sheriff. You know it's bad when a seasoned constitutional lawyer listens to the president talk and doesn't reach for popcorn, he reaches straight for therapy.
Speaking of our super serious president, he truthed, bleated, whatever, last night, probably in the middle of the night.
I prefer to think of his tweets and truths as excretions.
That's gross. Actually, no, it was this morning. It wasn't last night, it was this morning. So first thing in the morning, he says, 0 border crossings for the month for Trump, all caps, versus 60,000 for sleepy crooked Joe Biden, a man who lost the 2020 presidential election by a landslide.
Meanwhile, Jimmy Kimmel might have the easiest gig in all of comedy. Trump practically writes the monologues for him. It's like roasting a bonfire for being hot. Completely unnecessary, but absolutely entertaining. The president hands late-night hosts so much material, it almost feels suspicious. Like there's a secret writer's room hidden in the West Wing, working overtime to turn American politics into the longest-running sketch comedy in history.
Against that, Russia killing American citizens. This guy is all over the map, especially when it comes to foreign policy, but he has been put in that big fat Sharpie to use. Before he skipped town, he had a joint press conference with the Prime Minister of the UK, which he accidentally called the EU, to tout a new, big, beautiful trade deal.
We all know the great Prime Minister of the UK, and we just signed a document. This is, sorry about that. This is it. A very important document. A little windy out here. Give me that. We just signed it, and it's done.
Yeah, and that isn't the perfect metaphor for Trump's economic policy.
And what a sketch it is. One moment Trump's raving about Space Force, the next he's proudly mispronouncing U-Site like it's policy. Kimmel doesn't even joke, he just repeats. Trump's his own parody, complete with wild gestures like a salesman on a 2 a.m. infomercial. Conway, steady as ever, breaks Trump down like a mechanic stripping a clown car. Under the hood, just smoke and a loop of "I'm the best." Trump treats diplomacy like a celebrity feud, petty posts, stiff photo ops, and threats disguised as typos. Policy? Worse. He blames bad vibes for inflation and throws merch at crises. If red hats fixed problems, the border would have closed with a buy one, get one sale. Kimmel once said Trump's advisors are extras who don't know the movie genre. Truth is, they're just noise in a one-man show starring ego, delusion, and way too much hair gel.
Right, Israel and Iran are firing missiles at each other, and the world is waiting to see if President Trump will join forces with Israel to order a U.S. military strike on Iran's nuclear development facility. Reports say that Trump has approved plans for an attack, but hasn't made a final decision yet. According to the White House, all options remain on the table for the president, specifically McDonald's, Popeyes, Burger King.
Then there's Trump's legendary romance with himself. If narcissism were fuel, he'd outshine the sun. Every sentence begins and ends with Trump, even when the subject is disaster relief or education reform. He somehow pivots to bragging about crowd sizes like a promoter stuck in 2016. George Conway could publish a law journal called How Not to Run a Country, the Trump Doctrine. The evidence piles up fast. Executive orders that read like bathroom graffiti, speeches that sound like AI faking confidence, and lawsuits flying faster than his approval rating sinks. Each time Trump stumbles through a press conference, mangles the Constitution, or calls a world leader the wrong name, Kimmel packages it all into a hilarious bundle. It's less monologue, more public service announcement with punchlines. Because sometimes you laugh before you cry, or both at once.
Promise. His Majesty was out on the White House lawn this morning doing the important work of presiding over the planting of his magnificent poles. And to answer a question he has often asked himself about the White House, which is, why doesn't it have a flagpole from the grass?
I've always said, why doesn't it have a flagpole from the grass? They call it a flagpole from the grass. They have a little one on top, very little one. This is about the largest you'll ever see. And it's tapered. It's at a quality that you guys rarely get to even put up.
Trump's second term feels like a group project where the guy who never read the textbook somehow controls the final grade. Foreign policy? He thinks NATO's a social club. Environmental reform? He talks about trees like they owe him money. Education? He once thought Frederick Douglass was still alive. George Conway has spent more time fact-checking Trump than some agencies spend actually working. And then there's his war with the English language. Sentences start in one topic and end in another zip code. Listening to him is like hearing a blender go off in a library. Chaotic, loud, and completely unnecessary. Kimmel just plays the clips and the audience collapses in secondhand embarrassment. But the real kicker is the gaslighting. Trump acts like the whole nation is his fan base and the rest are haters. When challenged, he doesn't give facts, just memes, slogans, and lawsuits. Conway keeps reminding the country, this is not normal. Presidents are supposed to lead, not retweet conspiracy theories from a golf cart.
Terry Schreckman wants to know from you, George, do you expect Trump to target you and other staff of the Lincoln Project? And if so, do you have a defense plan?
I don't have a defense plan other than whatever he pulls up is going to be meritless. My finances are simple. It won't, I don't fear him. And I think one of the things that that people don't quite understand about Trump, but they really should, is the fact that he's a bully and he wants to pick on people who won't fight back.
Trump's greatest hits include suggesting nukes for hurricanes, calling windmills cancer machines, and pitching COVID cures that sounded like frat dares. You don't parody Trump, you just quote him. Jimmy Kimmel gets this. Every segment turns into a Trump said what now spectacle that writes itself. Yet through the chaos, Trump pushes on with the swagger of a man who mistakes applause for approval instead of shock. George Conway rolls out the receipts. Lies, tantrums, distortions, and suits that barely fit, yet Trump struts like he invented freedom. It's politics as a magic trick. A magician saws someone in half, then brags when she bleeds. And speaking of bleeding, America's credibility isn't dripping, it's hemorrhaging. Trump treats diplomacy like a season finale cliffhanger. Sanctions here, insults there, and random flattery for dictators to keep things spicy. Kimmel doesn't even exaggerate. He just plays clips of Trump greeting world leaders like he's hustling them into buying a used casino.
We're seeing now is, as you put it, an implosion. And this, I believe, is what ultimately was always going to happen, the final implosion of Donald Trump. I mean, it's like Hitler, when Hitler was moving around divisions that didn't exist in the last 10 days of the war in the Führer bunker. I mean, he has completely lost it. This post is beyond question delusional, but it was also inevitable, because what's happening here is he realizes he's gotten under more pressure than ever, because he's not just running for the presidency, he's running for his freedom. He's going to go to jail if he does not win the presidency, and he can see that now. And that's why he's doubling down on the unreality. It's partly for self-soothing, partly it's just because he can't help it. He's a pathological liar, being a sociopath. And what we're watching is I mean, we're going to make fun of it because it helps provoke him into self-destruction, which is what the country needs. But it's actually very, very sad.
Conway's sharpest critiques are quiet, calm, and devastating. He doesn't yell, he dissects. He sees Trump trying to govern through Twitter and reminds everyone that constitutional law isn't improv theater. Meanwhile, Trump treats executive orders like gift cards, tossing them around and hoping they matter. His true hallmark, though, is the refusal to take responsibility. Failures? Always someone else's fault. Obama, the media, even the wind. Successes? All his, even if he just learned about them minutes before. Conway simply holds up the mirror, and the reflection is damning. A president ruling by vibes, confidence, and sheer volume. Kimmel, the entertainer, piles on with sound effects and slow-mo. One day it's a federal indictment, the next it's a catchphrase. Trump is a walking distraction machine fueled by denial and Diet Coke.
This is Donald Trump leading the Republican Party off the cliff. This is a man for whom there is no bottom, and Republicans are just afraid to call him out. He's saying we're in the middle of this war where Putin, who can't be trusted for a moment, who murders political opponents, who slaughters women and children, and Donald Trump is focused on what? Himself? because he wants to get revenge for losing the 2020 election. He says, okay, let's see their dirt on Hunter Biden. I wonder someday that maybe we won't have a president in Russia who actually acts in the best interest of the Russian people and behaves himself before the world. Maybe President Navalny. I mean, pray to God that somehow that could happen. And maybe we'll see the files on Donald Trump. I think
And through it all, he still thinks he's underappreciated. George Conway calls it delusion. Most of us just call it Tuesday. This is the man who once stared at an eclipse without glasses and thought he was defying science. That's not courage, it's a deleted Darwin Award. Kimmel nails it best. The Trump presidency is what happens when the comment section becomes president. No filter, no accountability, just a megaphone blasting every half-baked thought in his head. Conway, the lone constitutional adult in the room, is left trying to keep the walls from caving in while Trump congratulates himself for finding the light switch. This isn't leadership, it's performance art with nuclear codes. And as long as Trump insists on headlining, Conway and Kimmel will keep selling out their acts. That's the irony. Trump craves applause, but all he gets is laughter. Not rally laughter, the other kind. The awkward kind, like a car alarm going off in a silent church. Loud, jarring, and proof that something has gone terribly, hilariously wrong.
And the president should not be told to do anything and cannot be told not to do anything. And so, this is profoundly authoritarian. It smacks of one branch rule. And it is really, and it's extremely narcissistic, as one would expect of Donald Trump. And it is very, very dangerous.
As if the Mount Rushmore of presidential blunders needed a golden toupee, Trump keeps serving up new material like a campaign buffet. George Conway barely asked to try. He just points at Trump's latest gaffe and it mocks itself. From confusing NATO with a social media app to declaring war on windmills like a spray-tan Don Quixote, the jokes write themselves. Every briefing feels like an SNL audition tape without punchlines, unless unintentional irony counts. Meanwhile, Jimmy Kimmel looks like he's living his best life. In the age of AI, the president still thinks microwaves spy on him and hurricanes can be nuked. Kimmel and Conway aren't just roasting a man, they're documenting the collapse of coherence in real time. And Conway? He's calmly sipping tea while Trump turns the Oval Office into a live-action cartoon. This isn't opposition anymore, it's damage control for democracy.